It was about 4 o'clock on Christmas Eve. I was going home at 5, so I thought if I can just get her down to see the psychologist down at Robina Hospital, that was the plan. But when I got up there, she'd crossed over the balcony and she was just hanging onto the side of the balcony in this little lip of concrete. And I thought, oh my God, don't do this to me on Christmas Eve. And so I had a bit of a chat to her for about 5 minutes or so, and I could see her pupils were fully dilated. She'd entered what I call the black hole. She couldn't see her family, she couldn't see her friends anymore. She just wanted to end the pain. So I knew what I was doing wasn't going to help too much. So I ran downstairs and I got underneath her and I'm talking to her from underneath. I thought, hopefully she won't jump in this position. Female partner walks in. She runs up the stairs and she tries some female negotiating power. And when she does, she's met with the same issue. She enters the black hole. And right about this time, a bystander is about to go shopping. Talk about the right place at the right time or the wrong place at the wrong time, however you view life. She walks out and she sees the commotion. So she decided to get involved and we kind of all recruited her. And so both the girls started to approach the patient. I was underneath her. We knew we had to do something because she was getting more and more loose on the balcony and she was about to jump. So the right moment the command was given to grab her. And when they went to grab her, the girl jumped from the balcony, but my partner managed to grab her foot and the bystander managed to grab her hand. Bystander couldn't hang on for too long, so she let go of her hand. She was now upside down with one leg with my partner hanging onto her on the balcony. Her brother rocks up on scene, not a great place for a brother to rock up on scene, but he's really composed. He knew his sister was in trouble. I said, mate, how did it get to this? He said, God, mate, she was doing all right 4 or 5 years ago, but he said her husband had walked out on her and she wasn't doing too well. She went to see a psychologist. The psychologist referred her to a psychiatrist. The psychiatrist put her on lithium, Valium, antidepressants, antipsychotics, you name it. She was on a suite of medications. I thought, oh my God, how did this girl even get through the day as psychiatrists start to try and intervene with every single neuron inside of our head? But so when was your last normal? How do we get ourselves into these positions? If I'm not talking about you today, I'm most certainly talking about one of your family members. Your wife's been hallucinating for 5 years. I said, mate, are there any drugs in the house? No. Does she take Valium? No. Any alcohol in the house? No. He said, I think it's a PTSD. I said, has this been diagnosed? He said, no. He said, this is what I reckon it is. I said, okay, it was a little bit vague. Went inside about 7 o'clock at night. There she was, lying on the kitchen floor with her arms and legs in the air like a puppy dog. And she had something on the stove. Her twin 3-year-olds were watching telly. I went over the top. I said, hi, ma'am. She said, oh, what are you doing here? And I said, well, what are you doing down there? And then she got up her husband for calling the ambulance. And I said, ma'am, your husband's just worried about you. And I said, to be quite frank, I'm a bit worried about you too, because this is not normal. And she said, I'm okay, I'm just fine. But I went and had a chat to the husband in the back room, and he said, mate, what do you reckon's going on? I said, mate, your wife's drunk. Oh, shock, horror. He said, how dare you suggest my wife's drunk? We don't have alcohol in this house. And I said, okay, mate. I said, well, I'll go out there and have a bit more of a chat. He said, I'm telling you, it's PTSD. So I went out there, had a bit more of a chat. It was sort of above my pay grade. I knew I had to pick her up and take her down to the psych services down the hospital, have a bit of a chat to her. So I got down the hospital, got stuck in a long queue of people. I thought just to see what was going on or just to double check, I grabbed the breathalyzer and I put the breathalyzer on her and she blew in at a whopping 0.5. That's 10 times over the legal limit, 0.5. Whoa, okay. So the husband walks into the hospital about 10 minutes later. He said, mate, any news? I said, yeah, mate. I said, your wife's drunk. Oh, I said, I can't believe this. And I said, mate, you said there's no alcohol in the house. He said, mate, we just don't drink. I said, you said this has been going on for 5 years. He said, well, it has. I said, well, your wife's been getting drunk for 5 years. How do you not know this? And I thought, wow, this is a game changer of life, isn't it? So I leave that job. She's now handed over to the hospital, and I start driving down to the hospital, and within a couple of minutes, the ambulance put me onto another job, some other poor soul, and I just think to myself, oh my God, watch this space go horribly wrong as alcohol takes its filthy grip, hey? Yeah, no rocket science in this kind of stuff. Broken family, broken hearts, broken job, house on the market, and I thought, oh, whoa. My message to you is, what's your relationship with alcohol? And so it all comes back to this little spot here. This is a nerve cell. There's about 10 billion of them inside of our head. And each nerve cell's got to talk to the next nerve cell, and it does so by that, what I call that little golden nugget. Or it's also called serotonin and dopamine. It's the good fuel. And it sort of fires out of one nerve cell and comes into the next nerve cell and into the next. In a perfect world, if we're looking after our mind, the nerve cell plays like the symphony orchestra. I suck it back up, I don't need as much, I need a bit more. I suck it back up, and I need a bit more. And it regulates us perfectly. But of course, almost all of us aren't doing mental health too well. So we start frying up that golden nugget. I've got a problem with the kids. My husband or wife are giving me a hard time. Golden nugget disappears. But the body compensates really well. I don't even notice this monster creeping up, and all of a sudden, bang! I tell the boss gloriously to get stuffed at work. And my mate comes up and says, "Mate, you can't do this." I said, "I just don't know what's wrong with me." "Mate, you need to go and see the doctor." Off I go and see the doctor. Doctor, I'm agitated. Doctor, I can't sleep. And the doctor, not all doctors, there's some good ones, be prepared to sack your doctor, find a good doctor. But a whole whack of them will get in that prescription pad and prescribe you some antidepressants. And so the cascade of treating mental illness goes along. Is this how we treat mental health these days? Don't get me wrong, antidepressants have their place. Do they save lives? In some cases, yes. But in a whole lot of cases, we could be actually aggravating the actual problem. I'm going to talk really quickly on nutrition here, and I can probably do it in about 8 words. I want you to etch this in your soul forever. But do your plates look like this? Are they rich of colour, full of omega-3s, all full of the good oils that service the heart? If you're a vegan, you can take the fish out of it if you like. Or do they look like this? Yeah, and if you're wondering what that is, it's a piece of shit. It's a piece of shit. Wow. 70% of serotonin is produced in the gut. So here it is in 8 words. Don't eat shit and expect to feel terrific. No, we'll road our mental health. We'll go to the doctors. We'll go on the blood pressure pills. We'll fill up our medicine cabinets. But you go and look at somebody's diet. In the mines, I go to the mines, and there's some of the mining camps that are phenomenal. And they've got, in one camp I went to, there's 2 lines of food. One might as well say micromanage yourself well. The other one might as well say micromanaging yourself sick. Where do you reckon all the miners are lined up? They're all going home to die. In all my counselling years, there's a couple of things that are standout points that make changes in people. I say to you this, try not to let trauma be the catalyst for change. Wow, if only we could get in early. All the people that you take to hospital and having some kind of heart episode or a stroke or whatnot, they turn around and say, "I just haven't had the time." The busy CEOs, the busy people at work, people bought expensive cars they can't afford, so now they're doing double shifts at work or got second jobs just to manage all this stuff that they've bought to entertain themselves. And they say they haven't got the time. Try not to let trauma be the catalyst for change. Why do we wait for the heart attack? Hey guys, the only question that should be on your mind when you wake up tomorrow morning, do I move one step closer to the ideal me, or do I move one step further away?